They're called poppets. And do we use them to work a little skill, break a few bones? My daughter does. She's very, very good at that. Oops. I actually had her teach me how to make her specific little dollies a couple of years ago on my birthday. I said, "Oh, you can teach me what I don't already know." To her, she accidentally broke the arm of the poppet when she was laying them all out in a row. Quite often, my daughter will phone me up when she's done something like this, and she says, "Mummy, should I be feeling guilty?" And I go, "Darling, chicken in the egg, chicken in the egg. You don't know whether that person was going to fall down the stairs and break both their legs because you wanted to get your old job back, or whether or not that person fell down the stairs and broke both their legs and it was an accident. Who's to know when it comes down to the conspiracy between people and life as to whether or not life decides, oh, that's a good idea, I think I'll help you there." Happens.
Did you want to talk about the plateau there, Laura?
The plateau happens to everybody. The plateau is a time when everybody is saying, "Oh, you're full of shit. You're rubbish. You can't do that. No, that's not going to happen. No, that can't happen. No, that isn't going to happen. No, that is not happening." Over and over and over with every reading. And you don't know if it's going to last for 5 clients, 10 clients, 10 years. You actually don't know. But this is because of course, we're talking about tarot as an event on a worldwide level, or Pachamama in general, or the universe in general. I don't want to box this power into anything, but it also wants to find out what you're made of. Where's your resilience? How really certain are you of what you are saying when you say it? You will question yourself. That's admirable. It's a double-edged sword in a way, because it's most significant that, for example, you've got these cards. You need to learn them. You fucking need to learn them. Simple as that. Anybody who says, "Oh, I'll wing it," I'll go away. Everything about this needs to be learned. I needed to learn them in the first place. Hitting the plateau is where people will say you are full of shit, or you will doubt yourself completely because of the fear that may raise up when you are confronted with AIDS, when you're confronted with someone whose destiny is to die from motor neuron disease. And then it'll stop. And it'll stop with this vast and incredible breakthrough. It was there all the time. With the plateau, it's actually there all throughout. But it won't seem that way. And so consequently, you're going to think that once you've had your first breakthrough, hey, I'm away, I'm fine. And then you won't be. And then you will be. And it will occur more than once. And usually it occurs at a process where there's a shift in consciousness to do with the humanity as a flesh and blood species. When there is the brink of a collapse, when there is a massive weather front coming through, when there is an Arctic vortex turning up. That Arctic vortex in the Northern Hemisphere, for example, in America, like happened last year, this Arctic vortex will then cause a shift in us as a species, because just as a flesh and blood species, we do pick up everything that is happening. Like, big antenna. Oh, whoa. I feel like Pan's Labyrinth. But this big antenna thing picks it all up and then channels that into the only technique you have available to you apart from your body. And of course, you're with your body, you maybe think this is just me, but when it turns up time and time again in the readings, you're going to go, no, this is not just me. But that when you do have your breakthrough, it's just hilarious. The breakthroughs are so hilarious. Your breakthrough was when you'll be able to name the street that the client is moving into. And you never know when they're going to hit. Everybody that I've encountered, how long have I been teaching this? I have no fucking idea. And most people that I've taught dropped off. They don't keep going. When they get to the plateau, they'll pretend that they know what they're doing, and they'll turn tarot into an oracle to be oracle cards. So they'll start giving advice and attempting to be sort of like deep and meaningful mystics and give lots of information to that person about their growth or what they're carrying from a past lifetime or whatever. Maybe being facetious. No, I'm actually being honest.
Can I ask a question, Law?
Of course.
How many of those people that you said hit the plateau and don't continue, how many of them sought your counsel? Would you give them counsel during that time?
Most people are embarrassed to seek my counsel, to be quite honest, when it comes down to that. They vanish. I have one or two that are still in contact with me from 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, but the rest kind of vanish because they become too embarrassed. And I also encounter a lot of people do a lot of PR with themselves to get recognized by other people as being seers or as involved in witchery, and of course then they'll tap in. It's just so complex, Letitia, and it's complex because it's easier to fall back on what one is used to, right? And the paradigms one is used to, it's so much easier to fall back on that than to go forward with this technique. Now, it's not new.
Would you give them counsel if they came to you? Personally, I find it odd that they wouldn't.
It can seem a little bit difficult because it can seem a little bit hardcore, but only because I am intolerant of fakes. And also, even in my own life, to add a little private note, you should probably know, I was an owned person until the 1st of December 2020, when the New South Wales Supreme Court did release me from ownership. And therefore, because of that ownership, I spent many, many years involved with a thing called Stockholm Syndrome, where you have to agree with your captors. And this has been a very long story. And as such, the more I find out of my own ancestry, the more I deepen and acknowledge what I know, and I think about it. I don't just accept anything I'm thinking about, by the way, or anything I study or research. I'm not going to stop there. This journey down may never cease I don't want it to cease, to stop and say, I've learned enough. Thanks very much. This serves me. This works. This gives me a public presence, puts money in my bank. Hey, there you go. That's it. That's as sad as it gets, really. That's like someone saying, I'd rather never learn to swim even though I'm drowning.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what you do say to somebody then in a plateau, or what do you recommend, like about when this happens?
Those people can question you, but in question time at the end of the session. During the session, they need to shut up, respect your work, respect what you're doing, listen to what you're saying, take record of what you're saying, because the events have not happened yet, no matter that you speak in the present tense. And you will always speak in the present tense because what you're looking at is happening now. If you start speaking in the future tense, it's odd, but I never could. I just speak in the present tense, go, oh, look, this is fucked up, happening. And that person could look at with extreme confusion. And of course, a year later, they contact me again and they go, everything happened. Word for word, everything happened. They can doubt you at the beginning, they don't. And then the word will spread about your work, and that's enough. What actually occurs, interesting, if I can do a comparison, because I don't have a university degree in tarot reading, I may be considered to be odd. I may be considered to be a weirdo, a freak, a piece of work, you name it. Because the status quo of our society says you've got to have gone through our system of learning to be considered okay. And I don't think that for a moment, because even when I'm attempting to do an Anglo-linguistic anthropology degree, no one in Australia is able to know what the fuck I'm talking about. Why don't they know what I'm talking about? To be able to do the work of digging the wells out over and over again, of words, of language, of being able to communicate, of attempting to get rid of the word my. But unless you fit into the paradigm of an acceptability, and this goes back to you, Ari, when you were mentioning earlier about the so-called persecutions that are taking place now, the divide et imperium that's occurring now, dividing and conquering, you've either got to agree to the captor or suffer the consequence. That's pretty much it. So because we don't fit into that paradigm, we get belittled a little bit. The work of witchery is to be able to know the skills of medicine, what's going to heal you, what's going to strengthen you, what's going to work with you. Why are you depressed? Because you're not getting out and running and climbing mountains and digging huge gardens and hunting antelope, etc. So what we're doing as a species is slowly we're fattening ourselves up for the slaughter, you could say. But with tarot, let's back off and go, I am a professional. First thing that you need is self-respect. And I mean not just skin deep self-respect. I'm talking deep, deep understanding that you know your craft and you know your skill. And then when the plateau happens, you keep going. The only time people stop having contact with me is when they know that they're disrespecting my work. And then it's like, I don't want to speak to them anyway, because it's just too late. When do you say it's too late? How much do you put up with when it comes down to hypocrisy in your own lives?